Hey guys, thanks for clicking on the video. It's Bo with Wilderness Ridge Trail Llamas here. Another episode of Llama Life. Today we're going over different stove systems. Right in front of me I have the MSR stove systems that we like to use. And these are great stoves for guiding and outfitting, but also great stoves for personal use. So we're just going to go into some of the details, how we use them, why we use them, and what applications we found them best for. So the first stove that I'm going to talk about is the MSR Pocket Rocket 2. This stove has probably been to every country in the world. Not me personally, but this stove. It's been tested and tried. It's a phenomenal little stove. It's great for personal backpacking use. And for guiding purposes and outfitting, it's the best backup little tool that I've ever found. And we travel in areas that have lots of moisture, that are really dry, lots of sand. So to keep this stove in good working order, when I break it down and travel with it, I always throw it in a little Ziploc bag, and that really helps keep it clean and lasting a long time, and keeps it from gunk getting in there and making it difficult to cook with. But this is in my backpack on every guided trip that I ever go on, and almost on all my personal trips. And you can get the canister fuel, the Isobutane, and it's really easy to connect. Just takes a second. And now you're ready to cook. You can set this thing anywhere. It's not the most sturdy of stoves, and so when you get working with it, you got to be careful because your pot will fall off. And so you want to make sure that it's almost as level as possible when you're using it, and make sure you watch it when it starts boiling, because sometimes when it starts boiling, water, potatoes or something, it'll start to tip like that. So it's a great burner and a great stove. It's a backup stove, and it's a prime for guiding and outfitting, and it's a primary stove for solo backpack type trips. This stove is really inexpensive. Usually, I've never ever had a problem lighting it up. And when lighting stuff, I carry one of these little torches in my backpack at all times. Makes things really, really simple to light, and I always try to keep it on my body a couple hours before I'm about to use it. And that way, the butane in there lights up nice and easy almost every time. So we got our stove going. They're pretty quiet stoves. We can get a little bit of snow here. We got llamas fighting in the background. They're wrestling. And away you go. Immediate melt. So it's a pretty awesome little stove, really inexpensive. If you're buying your first backpacking stove, this is a great one to start with. I bought one many years ago when they were just the Pocket Rocket first generation. And now I've got the second one, and they've just been great stoves. So that is the Pocket Rocket 2 from MSR. Okay, this is stove number 2 from MSR. This is the wind burner from MSR. And we had the wind burner forever, great stove. And now they came out with a wind burner duo. So this is a sweet little stove. And you can buy both the personal little setup here with the stove, or you can buy it that comes with the pot, or 4-liter pot, or a skillet. So this has really nice little legs that set out. So it's really great for backcountry trips where you have uneven ground, different types of terrain. And if you need to, you can put something underneath of it to kind of build it up. And having this nice, very pliable extension makes it really nice. Versus a lot of the systems are really hard wires, wired extensions, and so I really like the pliable one. I like to use Primus fuel, mostly because this is a winter gas and it works really well. So you just hook up this little baby. Again, this is the wind burner duo from MSR. Get out the old torch here. And what I like to do when I light these up, sometimes they take a minute to get going. Before I put on the pot, I like to let the whole entire stove get somewhat red before I put the pot on. So I'm just going to wait just a few minutes. Now the stove's on full blast. Got plenty of heat coming out. And like I said, you have 2 different systems that you can use for the stove. This is their personal little duo system. We'll get some snow going in here. the stovetop's about to turn red, and away we go. It just sets up on there like that, and it's very, very sturdy. I really like these stoves for personal use. They're also great for boiling water quickly. Now, if you don't want to use that system, or if you want to cook a meal, a 4-liter pot is usually about perfect if you have some kind of appetizer or hors d'oeuvre to go with a 1-pot meal. But if you're into cooking 1-pot meals, this 4 liter is great for 4 people. And so this duo system, you can buy the additional pot with it, the 4-liter pot. You can buy the personal dual system, or you can buy a skillet. But this MSR system is great for all my trips that I'll do guiding in 2019. I'll be using this little setup for all the smaller trips. It's just super simple, super lightweight, and to be able to have 2 different systems to cook with, plus the skillet that they have, it's a pretty amazing system. So if you're a small family, or if you like to cook big meals with you and your friends, this is a great system to go with. Very, very universal. It's a little more expensive, this setup is, compared to other setups, but this setup is a really good way to go. Okay, now the third MSR stove, which is my favorite stove. This stove, personal stove of mine, I never bring it on guided trips because, I don't know, it has a little sentimental value. If you're looking close in my hands, yes, I have 2 colored gloves, but they're the same design and model. I just couldn't find one or the other, so I have 2 different gloves on today. This is the Whisper Light stove by MSR. They call it the Expedition Stove, XGK stove. It's got the little black guard around it, and this stove is just incredible. It works really well at high elevations, cold temperatures. This is kind of my go-to stove at all personal trips, from high elevation, low elevation, any kind of weather, any kind of trip. This is pretty much almost always with me, just because I trust it, know it's going to work and never let me down. It doesn't have a built-in stove system like the last stove, the wind burner, and so you have to have an additional pot. But this little guy is pretty easy to set up. Each of the stoves comes with a little heat plate here, so this protects, and you can cook right on the ground with it. You can cook right on a table with it. And then in this little back bag, they all come with this. They have a small little repair kit, which I always recommend buying 2 of these for each stove. They've got a little owner's manual. As you can tell, I've never taken this out of the package. Oh well. And then they've got your adapter here. So the difference between the 2 stoves that we showed you before is they're run on canister fuel, which is a compressed fuel, and this is a liquid fuel. So it's white gas. You can, with the international stove and this Expedition stove by Whisper Light, you can also use all sorts of stuff. Because of the jet they have in there, you can use diesel, you can use kerosene. Definitely the best fuel that I like to use is white gas. It's readily available in the States, easy to use. So I took off the black cap here off of our fuel canister, and then this is how I like to insert it. And then I'll tighten this on pretty good. And I pretty much go to just a little bit tighter than you feel is comfortable, and then I just bring it back a tiny bit. You don't want it on too tight. And then I'll do a few pumps before I actually connect it. Just make sure everything's working. And then I'll connect the stove to the fuel canister. And typically what I like to do is I like to take my cap and I like to see if I can prop up my canister like that, or if I have something else. And then I'm gonna go ahead and pump it. This fuel canister is pretty full, so I don't need to pump it too many times. So I'll pump it about 25 or 30 times. All right, that feels pretty good. You can start feeling a little bit of pressure build up. And I'll go ahead and turn on the stove. I'm gonna give it two rotations. And then in the bottom of the jet, I'm gonna watch for some fuel to start bubbling up. When it does, I'm gonna light it. There we go. Now I'm gonna shut down the fuel. So I'm basically turning off the fuel. And I'm gonna let the jet heat up there. So I got quite a bit of fuel in there, so it's gonna kind of sit there and and sputter like that. And until I hear the whisper of the jet being warmed up and all the fuel kind of being concentrated through the valve, I'm just gonna let it sit there and do its thing for a second. So you just don't want it to go out, you wanna keep watching it. This stove takes a little bit more attention to get started. Once you're started, like I said, any elevation and any kind of temperature and weather, this stove will do the trick. It's a pretty amazing little guy. Fun fact, I have no idea why they call it the whisper light, because I feel like it's not a light whisper at all. All right, there she goes. She's singing to us. I like this little stove. Very nice little stove. All right, I'm gonna turn the fuel up. I started to whistle a little bit, or whisper. Now we're ready to roll. Get our snow, put that baby on there. And the nice thing about this stove, the Whisper Light Expedition stove compared to the Pocket Rocket, is the top is way bigger on the Whisper Light, so you can put bigger pots on there and have more stability versus the Pocket Rocket. So when I'm guiding trips, I usually almost always have one of these Whisper Lights, and then I love to have a backup Pocket Rocket. This new system from MSR, the wind burner, is a new stove system for me. But as far as MSR stoves go, these are the best 3 that I recommend for guiding, outfitting, and also personal use. If you have any questions or like to purchase any of these, we'll put links below. Go ahead and click those, and share this video if you liked it. Comment, subscribe. Thanks for following us.